Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Leaders Lighthouse. I am here today with Linda Tilson. Sorry, Linda. Again, you can tell I'm not feeling well. I apologize for this right off the bat, folks. I'm fighting a head cold, and it is getting the best of me. But let's go back and start this from the beginning. I am R.J. Horner, beacon of life and leadership, along with
Linda Tilson, beacon of team empowerment.
Thank you. And we are here to discuss, we're still discussing actually, the self-confidence formula in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Everybody knows the book. There's so much valuable information there, but we've been working on one specific passage or one specific section called the self-confidence formula. Now we're only on number 4 of a 5-step process, but we've been doing a deep dive and discussing these things because we believe there's such valuable information and how you can be self-confident in what you're doing and the work that you want to create according to your dreams and your vision rather than living somebody else's life. Jim Rohn says, if you don't get busy making plans, you'll become part of somebody else's. And that's really what it boils down to, living your vision, your dream. But it means you have to create it. You have to work hard and do things to make it happen. So I'll read the passage here from the 4th section or the 4th step in the 5-step process. I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. So we've written down our definite chief aim. We've discussed that. We've talked about it with people. We've talked about the importance of it. But I also saw something, and it probably was in the Robin Sharma book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, where writing down your daily practices at the end of the day, in fact, it was that book because they mentioned Benjamin Franklin's practice of daily writing out his work, what he was doing that day, and how it applied to his definite chief aim or the work he was doing. So he would write down and hold himself accountable by writing out here were my intentions, here's what I intended to do, and then here's what I actually did today, right? So by writing that down, you have a method of determining what it was you wanted to do and then walking through it. So in your mind, you're reflecting on what the work was that you've done, and then maybe even setting intentions for your next day, right? Planning out your day tomorrow so you know what your day or your life is going to look like. So that was the process that I've picked up. And so I was hoping Curtis was going to be here with us today because really he is better at this. He does journaling on a regular basis. I do know that. So I was hoping we were going to have his expertise, but he couldn't join us today. Such is life. We move on. We still have to host the podcast. So you've heard what we were talking about today, Linda. I'd love your input at this point, and we'll talk it through because again, this is not my skill. It's not my forte. I do journaling, but it's usually like a once a month thing or something like that when I feel like I have to get something off my mind or reflect on how I've been doing lately. It's not a daily thing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts or where you come from when thinking about daily writing out your efforts.
Okay. Well, lots of things were coming through as you were describing the alignment, the method that you use, walking through your day and reflecting back, thinking about what you might do the next day, and really taking in what you've done to get to that definite chief aim. And so I journal as well, but it isn't always every day. My journaling happens in a slightly different way, but maybe it could, be my method. One of the things that I do is a reverse to-do list. So as I'm going throughout my day, rather than making one long list of everything I have to do, I feel much more accomplished and knowing I'm moving in alignment with where I'm going. If I can articulate in writing the things that I've accomplished during the day, I can see where all my time went in the tasks. And what that does for you when you are doing a reverse checklist, then it does set you up to reflect, and you can go back and look at how you spent your time and ask the question, was this contributing to the goal that I'm heading towards? Did I do it in an effective time period? Yes or no? And, are there things that I did that didn't align with me, or they didn't really align with where I'm headed? Should I be doing them? Yes or no? And so by going through the day's events and the things that you found that you completed, you can really begin to assess that, because whenever you're working on something, it's all about what's in front of you, what you're seeing, what you're reflecting on. And if you're not doing that, then you are moving through life through sometimes busyness, doing a bunch of tasks that don't align, that are wasteful, are not moving you towards the direction you're headed. Then you're not going to be as successful as the person that reflects back on what they've just done, and they're doing that check-in with themselves. So it's all about asking the question too, how do I know when I've gotten there? Well, you're not going to know that you've gotten there if you haven't even defined that either. And so journaling, by writing those questions, where am I at now? What's that current condition? And what things need to happen to move it in the right direction? You're looking at what barriers or things are getting in my way, or what things could get in my way, identifying them, and really taking that list or that reflection and saying, okay, what are the next steps? And then again, how do I know if I gotten there? It's a 5-step process that I do. It's my method. And it is a sort of journaling to do a reverse checklist. But then I also have a strategy or system where I'm asking myself 5 questions as I'm looking back to see where I am at any point in time.
Absolutely, I love that you've created a reflection process and a revolving reflection process, right? Look, we've written down our chief aim. We know what we're working for. Especially right now, we're working on a project, right? We have something we're ready to launch to people. But as such, we have things daily that we need to accomplish in order to get there. That's really what it boils down to. If you want to live the life of your dreams, you want to set up this life according to your vision and what you're working towards, then you need to have written down. You need to have written goals. And then by daily bringing them about, whether you do it reverse, whether you write out a checklist in the morning, and then follow that checklist, which, I mean, that's what we've kind of done by setting out our task list, right? We have assignments. We know we need to get these things accomplished. And then we chip away at them. We work away going, this is our top priority right now. This is our next priority. So we constantly revisiting them. I even wrote a post the other day, or today, actually, I saw a post on leadership. So I reposted it. It really was about living your life now, living your dreams now. And so my comments for this post were, if you're not living the life of your dreams, or if you don't believe you can live the life of your dreams, then what are you living for? What are you doing? Why are you trying to exist? Because we can all go through the motions and just live our day job and not realize why we're doing any of this. So, and those are the people who don't believe that they can achieve their dreams. They don't believe that they can have anything. But if you do believe you can live the life of your dreams, and yet many people are not stepping towards their dreams, why not? If you believe it's possible, why are you not, at least, if you're not living your life the way you want to today, why are you not at least working towards that possibility? Right? So in many cases, it boils down to the fact that I don't believe it's possible. I don't believe I can have this. So why bother? But
apathy is its own curse. If you're apathetic or you don't have the belief in yourself, you're right. You're not going to accomplish that thing you want. But the moment you step in there and said, this is something I want to do, these are the things that I'm going to take as action steps to get me there. And whether I win or lose, or whether I achieve it in the time frame I set, I'm not going to know if I'm not at least taking the steps to try and finding people in supportive communities that can help me in my blind spots or the areas that I need to strengthen. If you can be vulnerable enough to admit, I don't have all the answers, but I know that I want this thing. You know what? You put that out in the world and you tell people what you want to do and why you want to do it and what you're currently doing. Guess what? Help all of a sudden comes your direction, because if you don't put it out there and tell people and you don't believe it, then how can it come to you? It's like you can't get what you don't ask for.
And I was in a position for a long time where I wanted these things. You know what I mean? I knew what I was doing. I just, for whatever reason, maybe my commitment wasn't there, my commitment level, because I probably didn't believe enough in the vision. But I've gotten my vision so clear through writing it down, through thinking about the definite chief aim, knowing what I'm working for. I now have absolute certainty that this is what I'm supposed to be doing and this is how I'm going to achieve it. But then now I start to do those little things and let people know that this is what, because I used to say, okay, let's meet here and at this specific time and do this. And if for whatever reason I'd not show up, or I'd, cancel the appointment, or, so there was a lack of commitment there because I probably didn't believe enough. But through this practice of repeated dedication and writing it down and documenting what I'm meant to do, I've developed so much, even in the last year or so. Like I said, my commitment is there 110%. Trying to manage, like I said, a full-time job, part-time job, family, right? Family's got to be up there in the high priorities, and then running this business on the side. So my commitment is evolved to a level that I can't even describe to people who don't understand that just doing what you do, doing what you have to do, and by writing it down, you will achieve those steps. You may not journal every day. You may not like Benjamin Franklin does. Look, we're busy, right? We have so much going on. Everybody wants their social time or their TV time, and so there's a lot that people would rather commit to. But so we may not have time to journal a half an hour or spend time in the reflection at the end of the night. So one thing I've done is I've just created a accountability group, and you saw that I posted it out there. So, and the intention there is, look, let's at the beginning of the day, and then you don't have to show up every day, but every couple of days, remind yourself, come to the group, add your intentions. Here's what I intend to do. Here's the work I need to accomplish. And then come back, the next day or the end of the night, whatever, and reevaluate those steps. What is it? Did I accomplish it? And if you didn't, why didn't you? Right? What was the reason? What kept you from there? And then how do you keep to that commitment moving forward? Because you need to accomplish this thing. We've talked about internally, we have some things missing, right? Some lack of commitment. There's things going on that we need to accomplish, and they're not getting there. So how do we get to that stage, right? We need to evaluate this. We need to assess, why are we not accomplishing what we need to do? Why is our timeline or whatever not we're not adhering to that? What do we need to do to make it happen? So we do these things regardless of whether we write this journal, right? Write this documented step, which, look, I've heard it said, when you put it in writing, you're actually putting it on your heart. Like you're putting it into your being. By writing it out, your mind is accepting it, your spirit is accepting it. And I need to do this stuff because I've written it down. So that's really the commitment level that writing it down holds us to. So that's why I've created this group. I do believe in writing our steps and this action list as well that we're talking about. Holds us to a standard that we need to accomplish this by this time, and we take steps to do that. So
what I'm hearing you say, which is where I was going, there's more than one method of documentation. Absolutely. And it's all about making sure that everything you're doing is in alignment. Everybody, in our case, I'm going to use the teams because that's what I'm the beacon of, but in a team setting, if we're putting it out visible, the documented steps of what we need to do by when, We know who is working on them. We know the interdependencies. We know the critical things if we don't get them done. And then we're having that conversation with the team members. If we see any one of us that's not getting our thing done, we're asking, okay, what is the barrier that's in the way of you getting done? And if everyone's communicating what the barrier is, at least we're not assuming any thing of why that is, because it's really easy to assume why somebody's not doing a certain thing. And the moment we do that, we tear apart the team, because then we're not communicating. We're just walking around assuming that someone's not doing their part because they are not inspired to do it, or they're too busy to do it, or they, who knows, any of these things that can happen on a team. And really, if we're not in alignment and know what we're doing personally, and we're not asking our teammates or other people around us to also do the same, we're never going to be working together. We're just going to be a bunch of individual contributors being aimless. So definite chief aim, definite chief direction. That's why writing it down, communicating it often, and assessing, because you and I know, and Curtis, that when we put things on the list that we're putting together for our event, we may find that what we thought needed to be an order or dependency can shift. We need to move one of the things up because this other thing will make us move faster. And then maybe there's like, oh, we think we want to do this other thing, but we don't really need to do that right now. We need to not forget about it, but we can move it to the can get done later. And the only reason why we're able to move effectively in this work that we're doing is because we are documenting what we're doing, we're communicating what we're doing, and we're opening the dialogue or the conversation when things don't come through. Because nothing goes through seamlessly, no matter how good you are with time management, project management, communication. It takes everyone. There is no one person that carries a whole team, because that's not a team.
And you know what? In this world of side hustles, you know what I mean? Everybody's trying to create their vision, but they're doing it part-time, right? We all have to pay the bills. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. We're working towards this, so one day this can be our full-time gig. This is what we dedicate our life to. Right now, we have to take it where we can. We can fit it in, in the spare time we have. I usually have about an hour or so, but between the two jobs that I'm doing. So I spend some time working on the projects that I need to do. And then, of course, every few minutes that I have throughout the day, I'm working on the write-up of what we're working on. I'm working on some ad delivery, that sort of thing. So we're constantly doing this with what spare time we can afford. But life happens to all of us, right? Like we understand that. So we can't expect that everybody is 100% dedicated all the time, because we have life priorities. It's just a fact.
Very true.
You've been through football season with your son, and let's face it, that's a priority to you, right? And that could take away from what we're working on, but you know that I have to pay attention to my family. I've got to, enjoy my quality time. I got to make them feel happy. But when I find time, get back to the project at hand. So we've had that color-coded chart that we're following, and it helps us keep on track or where we're not following through. So and therefore we know what's missing, what aspects are missing. We can pick up the slack for each other as a team, right? When you're talking about individual assignments or individual projects, you need to hold yourself accountable. But as a team, we can kind of pick up the slack for each other, but only to a certain degree, right? Like we can't carry the other team members indefinitely, right? We need to still hold them accountable for their actions and for their tasks. And we need to get this done, and it requires your part in order for us to get this done. So those things are going to happen in a team environment. But also because of that, we don't let it affect, our internal beliefs or our internal attitude towards it.
Yeah, that's very true. And what I will say is, by having these project trackers, these systems, that actually I would say that I can get more done really quickly, because I know what the team needs from me in order to do their part. And I'm not wasting my time working on things that don't matter or are not relevant to the other people's next step. So honestly, by being organized, being on top of things and communicating it, I feel like this might take someone, what we've all been, three of us been working on might take somewhere like 10 hours, but I can get it in a couple hours because we each have our specialty of what we're bringing to the team. And so that's the thing that we bring. And of course, the thing that you're really good at, you can do with a lot less effort. And so you can get it done really quick once you are firm on, what needs to get done when. And so that's why this team approach works. And just because we are full-time people with families and jobs and all of that, we have the full-time passion. And I want people to know you can do something part-time, and if you're smart and strategic about it, you can do quite a bit. It doesn't necessarily mean that we all need to be doing it for 40 hours, on top of a 40-hour-a-week job. You don't have to if you work smart and wise and only do the things that matter. And because there's a lot of things that people think matter, but when you look at it at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And, there's a lot to be said for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say I've developed these systems and these tracking tools in my full-time job, as well as in this business that we're trying to operate, and it's helped to make me so productive because, like you say, I can really hone in on the tasks that I need to accomplish in order to move us forward by knowing that this is something that I need to do. I need to get this done so Linda can move on and get this done. Curtis needs to put in place so that we can move on, and it all kind of flows. And I want people to remember that out there is in a team, like you said, Linda, it helps that we know each other's strengths. So this person is good at this, let them deal with that, because it's less effort for them to do that project than it would be for me to do that project, right? So by knowing each other's strengths, we can lean on each other that way and help be more accomplished. So we're doing a lot less work and being a lot more productive. Like that's what I said when you came to join us, is that I didn't want this to be a full-time thing. I don't want, you to dedicate all of your time to this, because again, we need to prioritize life, work, family, quality time. These things have to happen. And by putting those little bits of effort in where it matters. And there's why writing down your day or writing down your intentions and then reevaluating your intentions on a consistent basis, we can be a lot more accomplished with a lot less effort.
Exactly.
So is there any final thoughts? Again, so I've got a clear written down description of my definite chief aim. We've done that. We've figured out what it is we're trying to work on, not just our vision for where we see this business going or where we see our life going, but also the vision for what we're working on, what we're working towards with this business. And I like that and this is what we'll talk about next week, is persistence, because the next sentence in the line says, I will never stop trying until I have developed sufficient self-confidence. So really it is about being persistent, never give up, and you'll work towards it. We weren't so organized before you came on board. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm so grateful you've joined the team, because now we're able to accomplish things with a lot less effort, because we have these processes, which we didn't know how to, implement ourselves. When it was just Curtis and I, again, he was good at the tech. He was good at the background, creating designs and creating, programs and develop our website. I was the creative mind. I was working on, okay, here's our project. Here's what we need to do. Here's how it's going to work. Here's, some of the things but there wasn't the detail. There wasn't the dedication to this is what we need to do. This is who needs to do this. We need to accomplish this by said time. It wasn't all written down. It wasn't all documented. And by now doing these things, we're a lot further ahead than we were even 6 months ago. So, I appreciate you coming with us. And so, like I said, do you have any final thoughts on this subject of reflecting, writing it down to reflect on your progress?
Well, I just think that the whole writing the definite chief aim for me was super important, because we are individual contributors first. And if our individual contributions don't line up in what we're doing collectively, that's going to be a problem. And so by you reading yours, Curtis reading his, me reading mine, you can see that we come together at the end of the day. And so writing that is super important because we start to embody that. I am. We start each of our podcast episodes with I am a beacon of, which is really important. We remind everybody why we're here and what our specialty is. And doing that is, I can't tell you so much how that's changed my life. Prior to meeting you and Curtis, I'd said this before, but I was working with a coach that comes up with your one word. And it's a lot like your mission. It's a lot like who you are. And by doing that, I have, stepped into this being, and the things that I do are all aligned. And I didn't have that before. I was like spaghetti on the wall, throw it all out there, see where it sticks. And, there's a part of me that had to go through some of that to see. But what the funny thing at the end of the day was, I ended up coming up with my thought leadership word of the team empowerment, because you had talked about this earlier, that the systems in place and the organization that you have in your work. I've been doing that for over a decade. I lead projects in accounting. Accounting is dependencies, auditability, traceability. It's all of these enterprise-wide business IT technology things that I have to put together. So I'm constantly playing human Tetris. I use that as the example. I'm playing Tetris. You throw it all at me, I'll take it and organize it, and we'll put it together, and then we'll have this nice little direction of where we're going. That's I guess that's what I wanted to share is that I personally have loved the series and what we're teaching people, because I've done different elements of it, I will say that, but putting it together, talking about it through this series, having the guests that we've had come in and really acknowledge that they do some of these things as well as part of their systems, and that they're also in alignment. They're beacons in themselves. And so it's been great.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. You've kind of led us into the discussion. So I said our topic was going to be about persistence. In fact, I've come up with a title for our next episode because it will help launch what we want to tell people about next week. Next week's podcast is going to be special because we're this project that we've been working on that we're so excited about. We're going to finally start telling people about it. So the topic or the title of our episode next week will be I Am Persistently Me. Because that is about how you being a beacon and how you shining your light, doing what you do, doing what only you can do, and then sharing that out with the world will help launch you as a beacon of, you know what I mean? I'm a beacon of life and leadership. These are two things that are important to me. And I know I can help push people towards a life in leadership. So that's what I do. You're a team builder. That's what you do. Curtis, he's my cheerleader. He has been for years, right? He's kept me going when otherwise I might want to give up. So you know what? He's a beacon of positivity. Absolutely. And he can help people with positivity and mindset and just, being a possibility thinker, or thinking in terms of achievement. These are things that we just do, we just act upon. So that's what next week's episode is going to be about. I am persistently me. And then there's why we never give up. And I have never given up over the last 5 years that I've been trying to put something together, trying to develop a business around helping people become a person of service, helping people become a leader. I knew I was working towards building a business around this. I just didn't know how to get it all the pieces working together. But because I haven't given up, we're on the verge of achieving something amazing. So I'm looking forward to telling people about that next week. And I think this has been a great discussion around reflecting, writing it down to keep yourself accountable.
Really looking forward to next week, that's for sure, because now that you put a title on it and it's documented. We know exactly what we're going to be bringing to our audience and people that are listening that are working on those projects, working on those dreams. And maybe they're like us. They've been working on it for a while. They need a little bit of support from their community to get there. Because I'm still learning every day from different individuals. And I don't claim to know everything, but what I do know is that organization, documented chief aims, and being with your community are just three of the many ways that you can go about the work that you do to bring your light, to bring that service that you want to put out in the world. And that's what it takes.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. Again, we're doing some great work here, and I'm proud of the work we're doing. I'm proud of what we're going to be offering to people. And this is just our launch pad. This is just the one thing that we've been working to bring the people so that we can continue to help people in developing their service and their leadership. So I'm so excited because we've been working on this for a while, and we're excited to tell people about it. So thank you, Linda. It's been only you and I tonight. So I do want to recognize Curtis, who wasn't here, our beacon of positivity. And life is what it is. He had other commitment today. So he was with us in spirit, as we said we would do for him. And
Yes.
so I am RJ Horner, beacon of life and leadership, along with
Linda Tilson, beacon of team empowerment.
Thank you, guys. This has been a great show, and we will talk to you again next week. I hope people see this and tune in, because next week's going to be an exciting episode.